Today we're going to learn two things. So the first thing is we would like to see how you can do some like a conditional statements in Java to say, well, if such situation happens, I'll do the following. Otherwise, if this is the case, I do the following. So for example, let's say when you're trying to print hello to people, I can say, well, if this person happens to be, let's say, Jackie, then I'll say hello to him. Otherwise, I will refuse to say hello to him or something like that. So you can actually specify some condition like that in Java by using an if then else statement. That's the first job. And the second job is to say, now let's say we have a list of people in the argument list when you run the program. And now I want to print, like I want to say hello to every one of them because I don't know exactly how many people I have in the list. I might have 3, I might have 4, or I might have 5. So this is a more challenging exercise. But we'll do it together. Maybe you can just launch your Eclipse and then we'll do it together.
I have some problem.
With the Eclipse?
When I try to run the program, the selection cannot be launched, and there are no recent launches. How can I?
There's no recent launches.
Yeah.
Have you installed the Java runtime?
Yeah.
You have? Okay, I can have a quick look. Otherwise, I gotta. Okay, so if you have individual problem, I can solve for you. Maybe when you start doing your. Seems to be okay now. No?
I think it's happening.
Okay, launch the Eclipse again. Launch it again. I will start it in just a minute. So, okay, select the workspace. No, seems to be okay now. But if you want to run it, then you have to right click on the class and just run its Java application, which I will show in the demo. Okay, so let's get started. What about we create a new project so you can also do some typing yourself? Got your laptop? Yeah. Good. Okay, so now launch Eclipse and then select your normal workspace anywhere you like. And then let's create a new project. So for example, you can do, let's say lab 2, since this is lab session number 2. So file, new, and go to Java projects. And then let's say CSE114 lab 2. Doesn't have to be exactly the same name, but you can choose your own name. I'm just making one example. And as usual, you don't have to worry about other options. So finish. So now we have a project called CSE114 Lab 2. Okay. So today I'm actually going to do everything from the Eclipse. So don't worry about the command prompt. We can do it next time. Okay, just to avoid any confusion. Okay, let me just close my existing files. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, so now again, let's create. So now under source, so that's the default place for Eclipse to store your Java files. Right click on the source and then new, and then you can say class. So we want a Java class. So class is the basic units for programming in Java. New class, you can call that maybe, let's say, welcome again. But we're going to make it more complicated. Okay, again, we have a default package here called CSE114 underscore lab 2. That is why under source, you actually see CSE114 underscore lab 2. So that's the package Eclipse created for you. Okay, so now I'm going to show you something that's really cool in Eclipse. That's something called code completion. So because usually if you want to, every time when you want to create a main method in Eclipse, you really have to type that public void main string args. That would be too inconvenient. So there's a way to ask the Eclipse to help you. What you got to do is to just type main. And then you can say control space. Let me do it again. Sorry. sorry, yeah, control space. Yeah, let me do it again. So main control space is going to show you a drop-down menu there to show what kind of completion would you like. Do you actually see that menu there? Main, type main, and then say control space. And then you can actually see that in this drop-down menu list there, the first one is called the main method. So if you simply hit enter, you're gonna see something really cool. It's going to complete the method for you, right? So if I now hit enter, and it completes everything for me already, so I don't have to type. So I would say for the purpose of today's lab, possibly for next week as well, until we show you how to do classes and objects properly. So you can just use this code completion feature to actually save your typing. But if you want to type manually, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. Okay, so now let's still do our, to review our exercise from last time quickly. So now let's say we want to print something. So let's say we simply say system dot out dot print ln. Okay, and parentheses here, and then semicolon. Okay, so in Java, if you want to type a word or a message, it's something called a string. If you want to specify a string in Java, you have to put it in double quotes. So that's the rules, that's the syntax. So double quotes, if within the double quotes there's no character there, it's called an empty string. That means you're not going to print anything, just print empty. But now let's say hello, for example, hello world. Okay, let's just try this one to make sure you do have that in the console. And to make sure you do have the console there, go to Window and Show View and Console here. Just make sure you have it. If you don't have it, you can always retrieve it back from the Window, Show View, and Console. Okay, but I do have it now, so I don't have to worry. So now, if you want to run it, the way to do it would be, so right-click on welcome.java, the class. And then you would say, so just scroll down to the menu list and say run as Java application. Okay, so feel free to help your neighbor. So that can actually also save my job as well. Okay, so now if you say run as Java application, you will see that hello world, right? Okay, let's do a small change. How about just hello Sunni Korea, as we did last time, and you can just save it. Make sure you save it. It will be Control S as the shortcut to save the file. So in Eclipse, whenever you type Control S, it's going to save it and recompile the source code. So when I say source code, I mean the welcome.java file. Okay. Okay, so now we have saved the file, and Eclipse has already recompiled that into the new bytecode. So I would say run as again, right click, run as Java application. So now I should see hello Sunni Korea. Right? Okay, yeah. So now let's do something a little bit different. So now let's say we are trying to use the arcs over here. So we have the arcs over here. So we are trying to make use of that, which means whenever we are trying to run this main method here, we can actually pass something to it. Okay. Remember last time in the command line, I say Java, welcome, and then Jackie, Peter, Tom, Alan, things like that. But now we're going to do it from Eclipse. It's a little bit slightly lengthy process, but I'm going to do it step by step with you. Okay. Let's see how to do it. The way to do it is by going to Run. Okay, click on Run, and go to Run Configurations, which means we're going to configure the way we run the program. Go there, and then you will see that somewhere you have your welcome there. Okay, for example, it's CSE114 Lab 2. That's the project, right? And also the main class is welcome. So the dot here just simply saying that welcome is actually a class under this package here. Just make sure you're in the right place. Okay, now if you click on arguments here, and here, this is where you can specify the list of people. Okay, let's put some name here. For example, you can put Alan, Tom, separated by white space, Tom and Mark, for example. Let's do that. Okay, let's do that. And then if you simply say run, you will still get hello, Suni Korea. That's fine because we haven't really changed the source program yet. That's expected. But next time, once we change the program and rerun it, you will see the change. Okay, now how can we actually say hello to Alan, Tom, and Mark? How do we do that? The way to do that is we're going to have something called variables. So in Java or in any programming languages, when you're trying to create a variables, it's like a placeholder. I'm trying to say, because I know Alan, Tom, and Mark will be specified in a list of strings. So I'm going to go to the list one by one by their position. I'm going to position 1, get Alan, and put Alan in some placeholder. And I'm going to get Tom and also get Mark in different placeholders. And then from those placeholders, I'm going to print out the name. That's the conceptually, that's the idea. But how do we declare placeholders or variables in Java? The way to do that is you always have to say what kind of placeholder do we have. In this case, we actually have a string placeholder. So type string. And now Alan would be the first name to say hello. So I would say name 1, for example. And now I have to say somehow to say Alan will sit in the first string in args. And the way to retrieve that, which we'll teach in much greater detail in the lecture, the way to do that for now, just say args. Args is actually a list of strings. And the way to go to the first one is by using square brackets here and then type 0. So this is the funny part about Java because in the list, the first position is position 0. And the second position is position 1. A quiz for you. Let's say if you have 10 elements, what would be the maximum position? 9, right? Yeah, should be quite straightforward. Yeah, actually, although you think that's quite easy, but it's a very common mistake in Java programming. So keep that in mind. Okay, good. So now, let's say, so this will be the first person. And also, it's always good to actually somehow to document your code by using some comments in Java. So comments are only for human beings like us to read. It will not be compiled into machine code for the machine to execute. How do we do comments in Java? Let's say we want to do a one-line comments. Let's say we hit a new line here, and then here you can say // and then you can say assign the first string to variable name 1. So that's proper documentation for this line. So actually, this is not just for your. So what are the advantages for doing good documentation? Let's say you're working in a team. Let's say for your assignment, you're working with maybe 1 or 2 other people. Let's say you're working on the code together. If someone else has to take over your code and they have no idea what you're doing, so what can they do? Either they will ask you or they have to read your documentation you have. And also sometimes it will be also for yourselves benefits. It really happens so often. Let's say after a month or 2, if you want to look at your own code, most likely you can understand it anymore. So you have to rely on the documentation. Okay, that's a very good programming practice, as you will see. Okay, so now we have done the first name. So we'll do, because we have Alan, Tom, and Mark. So you can kind of imagine how the next line would look like.
Name 2, args 1.
Args 1, very good. That's very good. So it's not hard, right? You guys are very smart. I haven't really taught you yet on the lecture, but you already know what to expect. String name 2 equals args 1. Let's say I do that. So that'll be a second person there. Let's do the third one since we got 3. String name 3 args 2. Okay, I'll wait you to finish. And make sure you save the file. And then there is one missing step. At the moment, what we have done is we have placed the first string in the args into the placeholder contained 1. We put the second string into the placeholder holder contained 2. And we have placed the third string into the placeholder contained 3. However, now even if we run the program, we will still see hello Suni Korea. We wouldn't see hello Alan, Tom, and Mark. How come?
we have to like give names, because like they don't know like what name we're talking about.
Yeah, because that's very good. So let's have a look at line number 9 here. So you see, this is the statement where the machine is trying to print out all the names. However, here they don't know about name 1, name 2, and name 3 yet. You only have the placeholder somewhere, but you haven't retrieved the value from the placeholder yet. So that's why somehow you have to mention these 3 placeholders in this string here, somehow. But how do you do that? I'm going to show you. So in Java, if you somehow want to specify strings by composing different components together, you have to use the plus operator. So for example, you can say, let me just get rid of student Korea for now. So you can just get rid of that. Just say hello, like that. So I want to say hello with a white space, and then plus, so you can see it's basically just plus. So plus is called a concatenation. It's like appending one string to the end of the other.
Put a space after hello.
You can also do that, yes. That's also possible, yes. If you're lazy typing, that's fine. Yeah. Good, okay. Very good question. And then the next one, after the hello space, I would say now print name 1 for me. So you can see there's a very important thing to note. So here, if you actually have hello within the quotes, that means you're going to print these characters verbatim. If you actually put name 1 outside of the double quotes, that means you're telling the compiler, what I'm doing now is not to print name 1 literally. I'm actually specifying a placeholder. So what you should do as a machine, you should really retrieve the value from the placeholder and print out that value. Okay, so this is a very important difference here. And this can be a very good quiz question, by the way. Right? Okay, so now let's do it again. So now after name 1, let's put another space, and then we'll say name 2 plus another space and plus and name 3. So now this code is a little bit too long. So what you can do is, so by the way, so now let's say if you want to somehow to expand this this particular editor window here, what you can do is you can double click on this tab here, and it's going to expand to the full eclipse. Okay, you can, let me show you. You can double click on that. Double click on that, it actually shows you the whole, basically like a full screen. If you want to go back to where you were, just double click again. It's going to bring you back. So it's very convenient. Okay, let me just go to that view. So now this line, number 9 here, might be a little bit too long. So what you can do is try to organize your string a little bit. What you can do is type and enter here after the print line. Okay, this actually makes no difference to the machine. Okay, plus name 1. You can say, we can just organize in whatever way you like. Just in a way that's actually more readable. Okay, so it's actually very obvious that I'm going to print hello to name 1, name 2, and name 3. Okay, so please make sure you can complete up to this step, and then we should be ready to rerun the program. Okay, so make sure you're safe. So now let's go back to run here. I just want to double check that I have set up my arguments correctly. So go to run configurations. And now under the welcome of CSE114 Lab 2, if you go to arguments, so now I do have three strings there. So now the program should really say hello, Alan, Tom, Mark, right? So now I can say run. Is that what you see from the console? Hello, Alan, Tom, and Mark. Okay. So far, so good. So basically, this is like a recap of what we did last time. So now we're going to show you the first control structure that you can do in Java. There's something called selection. So that means you have several options to do, actions to do, but sometimes this action will only be performed under some circumstances, and this action will only be performed under other circumstances. Let's say we want to do a little bit of discrimination here. We would not say hello to Tom. Okay, if the name happens to be Tom, we don't say hello to him. How do we do that? In this case, we only want to say hello to Alan and Mark because they are not Tom. How do we do that? The way to do that is by using the if statements. So let me go back to the editor here. So now let me just expand it here. So now we still have name 1, name 2, and name 3, right? So now what we can do is somehow we want to so this is what I would do. So let's say, so this one would be require a little bit more typing, but I'll show you. System.out.print. So you have to distinguish between print and print line. The difference is, if you simply say print, it's only going to print. Imagine this. This is like you write down the character without hitting a return. When you say print line, it is actually going to print out all the characters and hit a return to the next line. That's the difference. But you can experiment that yourself on your machine later. Let me just follow what I'm typing now. So I would say print. First of all, I will first print hello with space, let's say, as you suggested before. You're being lazy. Okay, now I'm going to say, okay, if, so this is syntax for Java, so you got to learn this. So I'm going to say if, and then here we have some open parentheses and close parentheses. Okay, let's do the skeleton first. And then you have open curly brackets and close curly brackets. Okay, and now between the two curly brackets, hit enter. Okay? So now, what you gotta do, there are two things to specify here. This is to say, we're going to specify some circumstances here, some condition here, to say, if this is the case, then we will execute the Java code over here. That's the meaning. But how do we do that? So we're gonna say, if name 1 happens to be Alan, oh, actually happens not to be Alan, happens not to be Tom, then we will say hello. That's something we want to do. So I'll show you how to do that. So we would say if name 1, so not equal to, basically. Not in Java, it's explanation, like a bang. Explanation not equals Tom. Then we actually do system.out.print. And then we'll do, in this case, we're going to do name 1. Okay? Let me try to explain it to you again. So basically, we're saying, now retrieve the value that is put in the placeholder called name 1. If that value of string happens not to be Tom, then we are okay because we simply don't want to say hello to Tom. We can say hello to anyone else. That's sort of the goal we want to achieve. Okay? How about I let you complete for name 2 and name 3? You'll be similar logic. Okay? The way to do it is to say now we'll do, so this block of code handles for name 1, and now we can say for name 2. So we say if name 2 happens not to be equal to Tom, then we'll say system.out.print name 2. Okay, that should be also straightforward because almost like before. So now you should know what should be the next one to write. Okay, for the original one, what you can do, I'll show you another trick. Let's say this block of code, I don't want to delete that because I might need that later. What you can do is put that into comments. How do you do that? So you can simply just highlight this block of code by your mouse, right click, and then I think somewhere you have, let me see. Okay, and then in the drop-down menu you have something called source. And source, you have something called add block comments. There's some keyboard shortcut which you can also do, but I'm not doing it here. Okay, let me show you again. So highlight the region you would like to comment out temporarily, but you may want to comment them back later. So you can right click and then go to source. Under source, you want to say add block comments. If you do that, it basically just puts everything into comments for you. So they will have no effects for now. So far so good? Follow? Good. I'm going to give you some time to play with the code later once I finish the two examples. But we'll do that in a moment. Okay, so now we still want to do name 3. How about for name 3? So if name 3 not equal to exactly the same Tom, then we say system.out.print. But now, because we know that this is the last placeholder we are checking, so if we're going to print it, we can actually hit a return at the end. So we can say print line now. You can actually experiment with print and print line from and try to see what's the output in the console. Then you will see immediately the difference between the two. So now here we have name 3. Okay? So now we want to rerun the code. So now to rerun the code, we're going to try a different way. So welcome to Java. Okay, right click on that as before. We don't have to check back the run configuration because we just checked it already. So now right click on welcome to Java and go to run as Java application. So what is it? It still says hello to Tom though. So this program is not exactly correct. Let me see. Is that also something you get? Like still hello, Alan, Tom, and Mark?
Yes.
Okay. So there's something wrong with the logic here. Let me see. There's something I overlooked.
There is a print Alan, the third one.
Oh, that one's okay, actually. That one's okay. Because we are not supposed to see Tom here. We don't like Tom, so we don't want to see him here. So let me see. Name 1. Let me have a quick look. So not equal to. I think I see what the issue is. Okay. Anyway, so this issue here, actually, I will talk about it later in the class. Please just follow what I'm typing now. Somehow we want to have a different way to say if the name is not equal to Tom. Okay. So this is not the correct way to say it. Let me type it. You just follow me how to type it. So we'll say name1 dot. Okay. If you say dot there, they actually give you many choices, right? So we're gonna say equals. Okay, you will see that the first one in the code completion there will actually let you type it. So we're going to say equals Tom. And then you put an explanation in the beginning. Don't worry too much if you don't follow this syntax here, but I'll try to explain. So basically, we're trying to say now we're going to compare name1, the value in the placeholder for name1, and also with the string Tom, using some method here called equals. That's what it is trying to do. But I will cover in the lecture later on about what the dot notation really means, but you don't have to understand now. And now we say this expression here tells you if the name1 is actually equal to Tom. But we want it to be not the case. Want it not to be the case that it is equal to Tom. So that's why we put an exclamation mark here. Okay. So if not the case, that name1 is equal to Tom, then we print out the name1. That's what the syntax really saying. Okay, do the same thing. You can just copy and paste for the other two, and then now it should just work. Okay, so copy that, paste there. Hello, Alan, Mark.
Yeah.
Good.
There's no space.
There's no space. So how about I leave? Okay. How would you suggest we put a space? But let me also, I believe you, but let me double check as well. So now after that, if I say run as Java application, I do have Alan. Oh, why do I have Alan?
You can change the name. So name 1, name 2.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, good. Thank you. Let me do it again. So if I say run as Java application, yeah, do have Alan mark. So now, how can we improve the program such that it is going to put a space in between? Any suggestion? How do we do that? Somehow we need to put a space. After where? Where? Not Tom, of course.
Main one.
Okay, how do you do that then?
So space after main one, and main two and main three.
So somehow, yeah, that's actually correct. So somehow we want to put a space after the value of main one. But main one itself is actually a placeholder. So we cannot directly put a space inside a placeholder. So what we should do is simple. We simply say use the plus operator. So we can say plus space. Right? That's what we can do. And we do the same for the other two. Okay, so now let's rerun the code and see what happened. Okay, hello, Alan and Mark, right?
I think there's a space after mark.
That's okay. Let's not worry about that. Yeah, you can actually make your program more perfect than mine. That's fine. Yes. You get there's an error. Oh, you don't actually need to parentheses here actually. Yeah, they have match to each other. Yes. Okay, that's the first example I would like to do. So now I will take questions. So if you have individual questions, I will see if I can solve that quickly, and then I'll move on to the next one. Array index on the balance. So let's see. Since we have not set your one certain configurations, right? That's the business set. Okay, with the arguments. So here you can type out Alan market then you separate by space, of course. Question? Yeah, I'm coming. Yeah. Okay, so maybe let's take 2 to 3 minutes. You can just play with the code before we move on to the next one. Okay. 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 So somehow, okay, it's a slightly more advanced issue, but basically it's saying that somehow your welcome Java is stored under default package, but you're declaring that this welcome is under CSE114 F2. So that's the reason. So you see welcome Java, yeah. So you can have some inconsistent use. You can just delete that. Oh, you just delete that. That's okay. You can delete that one. Delete the whole one. Okay, if you save. And now, okay, now this is another issue here. So basically, you always, if you have curly brackets, they have to match. So you can see that here you have some open square curly brackets. You should have closed one as well. You don't seem to have closed one. Oh, but you can see that. So here, this is the open brackets for if. This is a closed brackets for the same if, right? There's a closed one for, so these two match, and these two also match. But you don't seem to have a matching brackets for this. So you should really put that to the very end of the class. Oh, actually, you should go back. Actually, you do need that. So that's the curly brackets for main method. Okay, and so basically, you have two open curly brackets here. One for class, one for main method. So now this will that work? Okay, now you're fine. Just make sure always you have on the same code. It takes some experience. Right. I'll come to you. So the lady first. Okay. Oh, I see. So actually, you got the same problem as hers. So basically, for every curly brackets here, if you have the open one, you should also have the closed one. So you see, for example, let's say for the if statement here, you have the open brackets here, and also you have the closed brackets here. So this if statement is okay.
similarly for this statement, that's also okay. But you don't seem to have a close brackets for this, and you don't seem to have close brackets for that. So first of all, let's do the. We always go from inside to outside. So now, first of all, you do the close brackets for that, for line number 4, and now you do another one for line number 3. Then, yeah. So now you can save them. Now it should be okay. So how do you save them? You save. You save. You save. Yeah. Now you're fine. Yes. Hello, Alan Mark. Oh, okay. So first of all, we got to make sure we got the syntax correct. So here, this line you don't need it. Okay, it's not complete. So here, system S should be capital. Okay, okay. How you capital there? Okay, the same as that. So do that. System. Yeah. Yeah. Let's say we only do name 1 and name 2 just for now. Get rid of all the errors we have. Okay, now you have no errors. So now how do you run it? So right click on Welcome to Java. Go to Run as Java Application. Hello, Alan. Okay, that's a good start. So what you want to do now is to also put a similar fragment for name 3. Okay, that's what you want to do. So you also print one.
Okay, so hopefully you guys are doing fine. So some reminder to you. So in Java, 2 very common mistakes. One is it's very easy to forget to put the semicolon at the end of the statement. So always make sure you put it. And also, whenever it's a good practice, whenever you have the open curly brackets, you want to also type the close brackets as well at the same time. So you wouldn't forget to do that. Let me show you how. Let's say I'm trying to now write a code for this guy here, for example. So I know it's going to be an if statement. So I know it's going to be the body of the if statement is going to start with the open brackets. So I will do the close brackets right away. So I will make sure they are always matched. And then I'll go to the middle of them and then hit the enter. So I can just now focus on the body of the if statement without worrying about if I might forget to put the closing brackets later. Okay, so those are the 2 very common mistakes. So, and also, you can see that we also have a open curly brackets for the class and also have open black brackets for the main method. So make sure you always have the closing one to match them. Okay, so now we want to improve this program even more. This code here, it is not general enough because somehow, let me just go back to the program here. So somehow, if I just go to run here and go back to run configuration and go to arguments, the way the main method currently is defined depends on the fact that I only have 3 names in the list. But what if now I want to have 5 names? Then that means I also have to put the if statement for name 4 and the if statement for name 5, right? You agree with that? So this program here is not very flexible. It's not very general. We want to have very general solution to say, now, let's say I put Alan, Mark, Alan, Tom, Mark, I don't know, Jackie, Peter, Tom, Tom is already Jonathan, Simon, etc. Every time I can only add names to this list without changing the program itself, and you would just do it. You would just do the trick. How do we do that? Now I'm going to introduce you to something called loop in Java. Slightly more complicated than if statement, but it's not too bad. So you, again, just follow what I'm typing. I'll try to explain to you, and we'll cover more details in the lecture. Okay, now let's do the following. First of all, just say close. You don't have to run. You can maximize the editor here. So let's say all of these code, you can still keep them. You might want to use them later. So again, highlight them, right click, and choose source. And then you can go to add block comments, right? Put it into comments for now. So for now, every line of code in your main method has been commented out, which means it has no effects basically when you execute that, which is okay. So now I'm going to show you how to do a very general way of treating Tom. The way to do this is by using a loop. How do we do that? So just follow what I'm typing now, and now I can explain. So say for open and close parenthesis, say integer. So int is integer, I equals 0 semicolon. Okay, I less than args dot length semicolon I plus plus. Okay, so now for the body of the for loop, okay, again, open curly brackets, close curly brackets, move your arrow to the middle, and hit return. So far so good? Okay, so now we're going to say something that's very, very similar to what we did for the if statements. So now we're going to create a placeholder, but this time we don't have to worry about if that's name 1, name 2, or name 3. It can just be a name. Say string, call it name, equals args I. So this is a very, very crucial difference. That's why I said this block of code is much, much more elegant than before, because we are making a very, very general case for the names. So instead of saying I being either 0, 1, or 2, we're saying it's simply I. But I here is going to somehow to vary itself. I'm going to explain to you why.
Other letter, only I or other letter?
Just I. Oh, actually, you can choose any letter you want. I just convention. Yeah. Usually I, J, or K. Usually, yeah. You shouldn't need more than 3 loop counters. Yeah. I will explain to you what the for loop is really doing, but we'll get to that. Okay, do that, and now you can sort of guess what I'm going to do the next. I'm going to say if the name I'm looking at, if it is not the case, that name dot equals and then Tom. Okay, exactly the same as before. Open curly brackets, close curly brackets, move arrow to the middle, type enter. Okay, if it is not the case, that name it is equal to Tom, then I would say hello to him or her. Then I would say system dot out dot print. Okay, so here I will simply say name. Okay, so now right before the for loop, so here I'm going to say system dot out dot print, and then here I'm going to say hello with space. And here after name I'm going to say with a space. Okay, I'll give you some time to finish this. Let me try to go over this and try to explain what it's trying to do. So you can see somehow this block of code somehow can be unfolded or can be expanded into the 3 if statements you used to have. But this one is actually much more general, because now it doesn't really matter how many strings you have in the args. It can be 5, it can be 7, it can be 9. The for loop is simply going to go over each one of the strings in the list. And then for each of the elements I'm looking at, I'm going to put the elements, which is position I. So I would be going from 0, and each time I'm going to increment the value of I by 1. So I would basically be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Until what? So this is actually saying I should be strictly less than the size of args. Remember I said before, because index start with 0. So let's say you have a list of size 10.
then that means I will only go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only up to and including 9, right? So 9 is strictly less than 10, which is the size of the list. Try to digest as much as possible. I don't expect you to understand fully, but it's a good start. We'll go into more details.
This is supposed to say hi, hello, alarm, right?
Alan Mark, yes. Something like that, yeah. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so this block of code, as I said, will somehow correspond to the series of if statement you used to have. But now, rather than saying a specific value for integer, we simply say I, because I will actually go from 0 up to excluding the length or the size of the array. And now for each one of the elements, we're going to put that into a placeholder, and then we're going to check to see if it is not the case that the value in the placeholder is equal to Tom. If it is not the case, then we are happy to say hello to them. Okay, so now that's it.
Let's make sure our previous 3 names can work, and then we'll expand it. Okay, so now go back to your Package Explorer view. So now right-click on Welcome, and you can say Run as Java application, right? So now you do have hello, Alan, Mark. There's no Tom. Let's try another test case. Okay, we're trying to test our software basically. So now you do have hello, Alan, Mark. How do you add give a more sophisticated set test case? Go to Run configurations here, and now go to arguments here. So let me just put more names. You can put whatever name you like. Let's say Klaus, and then Simon, Jonathan. So now it's certainly, I think, and now you can already see we are being very, very flexible now, because you can specify as the input list here can be as long as you wish, and you don't have to change the Java program anymore. You don't have to. Okay, let's say I'm happy with this, and now you can simply say run, right? So now you will see in the output console there, I didn't change my Java code. I still have just this for loop here, but now I will say hello, Alan, Mark, Klaus, Simon, Jonathan, but there's no Tom. So far so good? Okay. So basically, these are the 2 examples I would like to explain today. And so now it's up to you. You're welcome to stay for longer until I think the finish time will be about 4:50. So you can stay until 4:50, or you're free to go. But if you got any questions, I'll be here to answer. And then I will post the recording shortly after the lab session, so you can still replay if you want to. Okay, yeah, I'll just stop the recording. Then I'll come to you.